Welcome to the Motoring Podcast, your weekly discussion of motoring news. This is episode 119 on Tuesday, the 18th of July, 2017. Hello, I'm Alan.
Hello, I'm Andrew. And this week we will be talking about how Musk has predicted the future, seemingly a fair travel tax proposal, Daimler recalls diesels, and Malaysia goes mad for Ian Seabrook. Alan, do you want to start us off then?
I don't know how I can follow this week's and finally, but we'll start off with a friend of the show, Elon Musk, who, in an address to the National Governance Association, which is nothing to do with cars, actually, it is the English association or representative body for state-funded school governors and trustees in England, and he was saying that it will be rare for a car to be produced in 10 years that is not autonomous. So he's been going around saying that kind of stuff. Whilst that might be the case, or it might have some level of autonomy, then the reason we're really bringing this up is just to point out that autonomous is what, right at the moment, and probably in the words of Mr. Musk there, autonomy is what manufacturers make it right at the moment. Yep. You'll notice I'm doing this story, everyone. There's a good reason for that. That for the second time in as many weeks, we've got people coming out and going, yeah, everything's going to be autonomous. It's all going to be autonomous. Definitely autonomous. We're going to be level 87 autonomy. And to be honest, that kind of stuff doesn't actually mean anything, because the amount of autonomy, whilst there is that guideline of 5 levels and where we are and where manufacturers are declaring we are at the minute is 2 to 3. Some of them are now saying 3 to 4, certainly because 5 isn't allowed. That the only people saying that things are level X autonomous are the manufacturers. And I'm going to be completely frank here, probably the manufacturers' marketing departments rather than the manufacturers' engineers. So just all I'm going to say, and all we're really going to say on this, and Andrew's not really saying anything on this, is that just be really, really careful when you hear manufacturers say autonomous, because it could mean anything in a huge spectrum. I mean, there was a Hyundai I was driving the other week, which could keep me within the lines, and I'm sure that had their marketing department desired, they would have declared that was a level of autonomy. Okay, the only people who are saying what a level of autonomy is right at the moment are manufacturers and marketing people themselves. So just watch out when you see stories like that, and try not to get too caught up in the hype.
Yeah, there's a couple of things from that piece.
This particular piece, or the piece last week?
Yes. Well, it sort of covers the piece last week. You've done a very good job there of politely summarising my thoughts.
Well, I have listened to you a couple of times.
You have. I don't need to put the Camp European Siren on my typing. No. And, well, it was interesting because, once again, the language used by Mr. Musk was very ambiguous and allows people to potentially misinterpret what is being said.
Yeah.
Autonomous, because does he mean full autonomy? Does he mean a level of autonomy? And when we talk about these 5 levels, that's all we've got to work with at the minute. And there are many, many people in industry who say they are not adequate. They are not good enough. They are not descriptive enough. They are not enough levels. But that's all we've got. So that's what people mention. And as Alan said, it is a self-declaration. And the other thing is, anyone who says level 3 and above is not legal in this country. You cannot use those facilities as they are described in that level 3. That is illegal in this country and many countries across the world.
Often, unless you have a specific permit to allow you to test autonomous vehicles.
Yeah,
specific autonomous vehicles, and those tend to be ones with a ruddy great roof rack on the top.
Yeah.
smothered in LiDAR and all sorts of fun stuff. So anyway,
so if you do read an article that mentions level X autonomous vehicle, insert in your mind self-declared behind that in brackets, and don't take it as read yet. And let's move on before I.
Well, we're not moving very far on, are we?
Well, it's still Tesla. It's still Tesla.
This is, oh gee, this one's getting me because
why do you think getting you though?
How's this one getting me? Oh, this one's getting me because Tesla have added two new directors to their board, both of whom are in publishing.
Yes.
Okay.
Anyone would think they have potential issues with the message they push out there.
Well, yes, and with how the message is received, which may or may not be the way. So to be honest, a son of, for example, one of the world's biggest newspaper barons, who also happens to be a director of said newspapers and said media companies, for example, James Murdoch, then that could be seen as a way of saying, if we put James Murdoch on the board, maybe, all the Fox News, the Times, the Sun, anyone on Sky might well think twice before really laying into Tesla.
That is one way.
Which is one way of putting it. But on the other hand,
if you don your, if one dons one's super tinfoil hat, it could get even worse than that.
In which way?
Information, data.
Oh, yes. Well, there is that. Well, you see, James Murdoch. Now, that's curious because I looked up a quotation earlier on. James is a man who has been guilty of an astonishing lack of curiosity around phone tapping, for example. And that's according to a UK parliamentary report and not just something I've picked off the internet or made up for humorous purposes. So, yeah. Don't worry, your car, it's always listening. And as is half of News International, by the way.
No, but that's one of the points that was raised this week in an unrelated story, which is Fox taking over Sky in this country, and therefore having access to incredible amount of detailed information on 13 million UK citizens, stroke voters, which was the way it was being couched, and it was being said, well, we need to investigate this. This needs to be seriously questioned because of the internet access, phone records, and TV watching data. So, these data is a big thing.
Yes.
And anyone who doesn't realize that or poo-poos it in any way is being very naive. You need to understand that you are incredibly valuable and they want to know everything about you. And they will do most things to get that because you are valuable. You will earn them lots of money.
Yes. So do be careful about that. The other person, by the way, is a lady called try again now. I'll put my false teeth in. The other person is a lady called Linda Johnson Rice, who is the head of the publisher and African American lifestyle company, according to their own website, Johnson Publishing. I'd not heard of her either. It turns out their publishing company publishes a number of magazines aimed at the African American market, and she's a lady as well. So, he is hoping that she sticks around on the board for a little while because she looks like quite a smart cookie. I have no idea of her other affiliations, but we shall see what happens.
Well, sticking in high-tech, disruptive car manufacturers, Alan.
Well, yeah, level of disruption being I was going to say discussable, under discussion at the moment. So we've just talked about reputations and all that kind of thing. Lucid Motors right at the minute is hitting the headlines because sorry, let me dial back a bit and say, who are Lucid Motors? So Lucid Motors,
because it is quite
this one's an obscure.
Yes, yes, do explain to people, because it's quite a path to get there.
It is quite a path to get there. So Lucid Motors are an electric vehicle company who are aiming to build an electric mid to luxury size saloon. For example, you could think along the lines of the Tesla Model S, perhaps, which is going to be electric, obviously being an electric vehicle company. And right at the minute, they're going for a round of something called Series D funding. They're basically looking for large amounts of investment. The reason they're looking for large amounts of investment is that despite the fact that they have been a successful company since 2007, okay, so been around for 10 years, they have focused on making bus battery packs for electric buses in China. They want to move to build their own vehicles. They want them to be luxury saloon cars, but affordable. And so they're going to need a factory. And they're trying to raise the money now before they actually break ground, before they do any of that stuff. They want to make sure they have all the money they're going to need to build a factory first. Now, some of the people they've been trying to partner with, for example, are Ford. They've been trying to say, well, look, Ford, why don't you buy us? I mean, that didn't work out so well for the Norwegian company Think in the early 2000s. Early 2000s, late 1990s, early 2000s. But, the world has moved on. So basically, Lucid have been trying to court Ford. They're in the middle of a 100-day review period right at the minute. But Ford's saying, nah, we're not really interested right at the moment. Whether that's a play or whether that's real, who knows? I have no idea. But it's worth mentioning that Lucid Motors is starting to come up quite a lot in things, and this is why. And it's because they're trying to do absolutely the opposite to the other Chinese electric car company that is in the news right at the minute, which is Faraday Future.
Yes, they've had a bit of a problem because their founder, or the founder of Lieco, or Leco,
I think it is, yeah.
Jai Yunting, is it? Yuting?
I don't know. I don't have it in front of me, so
I do apologize if I have absolutely butchered his name there.
He's the Chinese equivalent of Reed Hastings of Netflix, basically. That's how he made his money, was the Chinese equivalent of Netflix.
And if I can't remember if we mentioned this a week or two ago, but he had bank accounts frozen. They've got obviously massive cash issues. He's had to step down from various boards of the various companies he's involved in. But this is after, and Alan was saying about the Lucid trying to get the money in place before they stick a shovel in the ground. Well, Faraday went the other way and started building a factory and now can't pay for it to be built, so it's stopped. Because people, funnily enough, to build things, people want money.
Well, this has been trundling on for a while.
Yeah, there's been rumours about their finances for ages, but it's come to a crunch very recently because he has had his bank accounts frozen. Mm-hmm. So he's got no access to the apparent billions of dollars that he's amassed through his internet exploits. So I don't know. It doesn't look good, and not so long ago there were people leaving Faraday, senior people leaving Faraday and getting new jobs.
Yeah.
Whether that element of Lieco can be bought out, and the people who seem to be making a decent vehicle seems to be. But again, it's we don't know. There's no production models there. There's no people using them day in, day out. They're not.
You remember a couple of years ago, just after Geneva, we were on the hype wave, something like that, along with everyone else. Because you remember the hype wave. Because that's a really good term. I'm trying to remember that one. Because remember the thing that Faraday Future come up with was that modular chassis with the different, you could expand it with more batteries or whatever else. And then you could put many different body styles on top, and they showed off a hypercar thing with about, what was it, 1,050 horsepower, the FF91. They showed off models and videos and all sorts of stuff around that, but it's that platform which Faraday were trying to build this new factory to accommodate, and it's all gone a bit icky.
Yes. I think the polite way to put it is rushed far too fast, too soon, too far, too soon.
Yes, yeah, they were trying to really speed it through in the hope that they would do it before they keep ahead of their burn rate, but they failed. But well, at the moment they seem to have failed. How's that? In doing that, so
yeah, but I mean, much as we do not on this show, in case people haven't noticed, but we are not fans of Fantasyland type vehicles that are never going to be reality and are just promising more than they could ever provide. We do want more options as far as electric vehicles go to help stimulate the market and to help show there are different ways of doing it and get the manufacturers to move maybe a little bit quicker on things.
Yeah, Quant and their magic ionized water power vehicles are the ones that I always think of. Fantastic stands at Geneva, but we've not really seen anything either. So we'll see. We shall see. We do want to see these things come to fruition, by the way. We just
we're definitely not anti-tech here in this instance.
I'm not normally anti-tech anyway. I am more open-minded than maybe my co-presenter. Anyway, nothing to do with tech next.
No,
nothing to do with tech. So the winner of, and this is not the kind of thing that we would normally discuss on Motoring Podcast, of the Wilson Economics Prize has been announced. This year, the question put to people who wish to enter was, how can we pay for better, safer, more reliable roads in a way that's fair to road users and good for the economy and environment? And there were many, many, many people entered their solutions. Now, I imagine, given it was the Economics Prize, and it is worth £250,000, by the way, that there had to be some kind of, show your workings kind of thing.
Yes, definitely.
As well.
Leave your workings out in the margin.
Yeah, please. The winner was a Hungarian chap who has just who's 27 and first-class honours in politics, urban planning, and Italian. I'm sure the politics and the Italian came in really, really handy for this. Who basically has come up with a way of saying, okay, what about we charge people for the distance they drive in a year?
Dun, dun, dun.
I know, amazing.
Yeah, but not just that though. But it's not just that though, Alan, is it? This is to replace fuel duty.
No, I'm coming to that. Yes,
okay.
Yes. Yeah. So this is instead of.
Yes, not and.
Not and.
So this is why we're interested in it.
This is why
because you've heard us recently about too many people doing an and.
Yeah, London mostly.
Yes.
So this is basically replacing vehicle excise duty, replacing what was the other thing that was replacing fuel duty.
Yeah.
So getting rid of both of those. And saying, well, actually, look, we're not going to do it that way. We're going to charge you depending on the number of miles that you drive. Okay, and that's great. And if you drive an electric vehicle, we're going to charge you less because it's doing less environmental damage. And if you're driving something that does more environmental damage, then you'll charge you more on a per unit of distance basis. Which, on the face of it, sounds pretty reasonable to me.
Well, that means we can possibly afford stonking old V8s.
It means that
for weekend. It's what we were saying in the designers round table when we sort of branched out a little bit from design to solving the future of transportation. Trademark. Motoring Podcast and the Designers Roundtable.
Yes.
We are open for consultancy gigs. But what we were talking about there is how that the internal combustion engine will probably become a hobby for people, and ownership of one will become hobby, like cycling at the weekend or horse riding or something like that. Now, cars will then become that in the future.
Yes, and I thought actually, from what I was able to glean from the BBC article that I was using for swatting up before the show, I couldn't see too many downsides. The only I did see one downside. I did see one bit that I didn't really like, and that was the idea that the charge would be collected via the insurers.
No, that can't happen.
But that's a bit icky. The idea being that you declare how many miles you intend on driving in a year. Or, of course, for your insurance, you have a black box so they can track how many drives you can do. You see, I knew you'd do that. This of the entire thing, I liked the whole idea fundamentally. It was only when it came down to the charging for it bit that I went, don't like that very much.
No, you should. If we're getting MOTs, it's simple with the MOTs because it's registered there. And also, we could take the car to somewhere to be, an MOT station every year just to be checked, even if it's brand new before MOT time. But I do not want it to go through the insurers. I do not want it to go, definitely not through one of their black boxes, because too many of them are inaccurate as it is.
Yeah, a bit rubbish.
Allegedly. The insurers have proved, as we have seen in other news items that we haven't bothered to cover this week, because we've mentioned it previously, but premiums have far exceeded what the extra government tax has added on.
I don't.
You know what? Insurers never lose out.
Yeah, I don't. I wouldn't say I necessarily trust both of my insurance companies. So, which leaves me why I wouldn't want to do that.
No.
So anyway, that's the one flaw in it.
But the rest of it, it looks, and I have tried to think of different ways of how that's not that fair, or because I like to look on the positive side of things. Good at that kind of thing. I'm always looking on the sunny side of things. My glass is always half full. So, but it looks reasonable. It's never going to be. There is no system that will ever be fair to everybody. That we have to accept that. But it looks pretty reasonable to most people most of the time.
Yeah, it seems pretty fair.
Yeah, and I like that. Like you say, though, different system of checking, different way that is checked. But other than that, that's okay.
Yep. Cool. Good-o. So that takes us to that point in the show, and there wasn't a massive amount of news this week, so
there's one more bit. There's one more bit.
Oh, that's true. It doesn't take us there yet because somebody changed the order at the last second.
Hi.
Yeah, somewhere my order is different from the order my notes are written in. So yes, Andrew, I missed out your fun story. Well,
this is today, so we are hot off the press. Daimler is going to recall 3 million diesel cars in Europe to tweak the software on a voluntary recall to strengthen confidence
and allow access to newer tech.
This is 5 days after a newspaper in Germany accused them of being quite naughty.
Yes.
And it is only a newspaper accusation, but they have had quite a few conversations with the German Transport Ministry officials over all this. And this is the step. These are the steps they're taking. So we're told on one hand, and we are very much in the let's be fair when we're talking about any type of, when we're talking about things, we need to be fair. So we say, you can't say all diesels are evil. You can't say all electric vehicles are awful or anything like that. You need to be fair with it. There has been a disproportionate amount of anti-diesel sentiment.
Big time.
In the mainstream press, which has impacted all the manufacturers, as we can see by the new car registration figures. However, the manufacturers keep saying, oh, now come on, this isn't being fair. And here we are, nearly 2 years after Dieselgate broke, and we're still getting this sort of thing. Now, it doesn't take a genius in any of the motor manufacturers to go, you know what, there's possibly a reason we're not very well trusted. And they need to sort this out now.
Well, this is them trying to do that, but
only after officials come and have a chat with them.
Yeah.
Only after something is put out in the press.
I think you're being very unfair. I think they're voluntarily spending 220 million euros doing this, Andrew, for the good of all of us.
Oh, yeah, of course. Sorry, yes. Yes, they want to get back on the Christmas list.
Well, there was an important part at the end of that Autocar story. It does point out what what's the line at the very end of this?
This is Daimler responded in an official statement. On the basis of our current information, we would fight any claim by the German Transport Safety Authority that we installed an illegal emissions control device with all legal means available.
Okay, so yeah. Anyway, should we move on from that one?
Yes, but Dirty Diesel's still dirty.
Yeah, I think it was. By the way, just as well as this, Mercedes do say that they are planning a rapid rollout of cleaner, more efficient new diesel engine range.
Oh, good.
Yes, it's good. So now, finally, that takes us to that point in the show where I remind you about our Patreon, a fantastic way to support the Motoring Podcast by donating a small amount of money every month. If you'd like to know more, then head to motoringpodcast.com and click on the orange Become a Patreon button there on the front page. If you're already a patron, then thank you so very much. And we hope that you're enjoying the ability to do things like watch us do this live and get emails to tell you whenever we've released stuff, whenever I'm vaguely near a computer, and these kind of things. What would be great is if we could get a new patron every month. Okay, that would just be fantastic. All it takes is one person each month, one extra person each month to just give us a little bit more support. That would be fab. It all goes together. It all goes towards paying hosting fees. It goes towards paying for kit. It goes towards paying for hotel nights and stuff whenever we need them.
It would allow me to spend more time picking holes in people's arguments.
It would. It would, and I have Mrs. Windscreen's permission to say that. So yeah, we understand that not everyone can do that. We understand that asking for money is, money is tight these days with many folks. So please don't forget to like, rate, and leave feedback via the podcast player of your choice, or even via iTunes if you happen to be one of our iTunes viewery, listenery people who insists on not just listening to us but looking at us as well. So. Goodness knows why you do that. But yes, thank you very much, everyone. It's always appreciated.
It is, very much so. It is a surprise, and Alan rejoices when I get in touch with him to say happy things instead of miserable things. So allow me to say happy things, people.
Yes, please.
Just for his sanity.
Sometimes it's a wonder we still speak to each other. Anyway, this weekend saw a double header. Due to the lack of Formula E race here in the UK this year, next year, boo hiss, exactly. There's a double header in New York, first race ever to be the first official motor race ever to be run. Within the boundaries of New York City. The Formula E took to the Brooklyn Cruise Terminal, which is why it looked an awful lot like a car park, because it kind of was. They weren't allowed to race in Central Park, by the way, because of the trees. It was in case someone crashed into and damaged a tree.
Oh,
so that's why they weren't.
Fair enough. That's fair enough-ish.
Yes, kind of. I think they were too close to the track and stuff, and there were just safety concerns.
That around Times Square would have been awesome, wouldn't it?
Oh, it would have been fantastic. I'd cut closing down the middle of New York. That's all.
Yeah, I know.
Closing down the middle of London. So that's why it was at the Brooklyn Ferry.
That's all right. That's going to happen soon. Don't worry.
Oh, rubbish. Sorry, did I just voice an opinion on something else? So anyway, it was a great doubleheader. It was really cool. I didn't get to see Sunday because I had to, like have a life and be nice to family and stuff. I know it's so unlike me. But on Saturday, I was watching on Saturday evening when I saw young driver Alex Lynn in his first ever Formula E race, ending up on pole with an absolutely stonking lap. It was such a tiny, tight track that they were going around. And some of them in the qualifying, it was mostly sideways. You'd almost have thought it was a drift competition. But sadly, he didn't do quite so well in the race when there were loads and loads of cars on the track. And the race, in fact, both races on both Saturday and Sunday were run by Britt Sambird for the DS Virgin Racing team.
Is that their first win this season?
No. I believe it was Sam Bird's first win.
Okay.
I don't think it was their first win. Hang on a moment. I'll just be a second.
Sorry, I'm asking questions.
You're asking questions which I hadn't prepared for because I was only just at this point when you appeared earlier on because I'm a professional, me. I don't know. After all that, I don't know. Hang on, view driver profile. The new revised Formula E website, by the way, is way better than the old Formula E website.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah. I don't know because when it gives poles and when it gives front rows and fastest laps and stuff and lead races, it's an aggregate of the number of since Sambird started. Okay. So I'm sorry, I don't know. I think it was season 2. So yeah, I don't know.
All right, sorry. Didn't mean to put you in an awkward spot.
It's not like you. Right. Anyway, so you completely put me off my flow now.
Yeah, so he won the first one, but the rookie who took pole, he didn't. He struggled when it was.
He struggled. He was way further down. Then he didn't finish on Sunday either. His car stopped out on track.
Was that just I'm sure I read somewhere the suspected drive shaft issue or something.
Possibly. What's the DS Virgin setup? Does it have 2 gears? I think it might have 2 gears and 1 motor, so it may well have been just constant shunting.
No,
I could be wrong in that.
No, DS Virgin won, didn't they? He was from the Audi team.
That wasn't him. Okay, so that wasn't him. That was.
Oh no, Alex. Sorry,
that was Daniel Abt at the last second in the Saturday race. Just.
I'm really screwing this up for you tonight. I'm so sorry.
He ended up way down the order, and Lucas Di Grassi fought from very low down to come in 7th, I think.
He's doing very well this year, coming from the end, the back.
Yeah, but he tends to end up putting himself there. Yeah,
he's trying to make it interesting for himself.
It's a shame because a friend of mine is a number one Lucas Di Grassi fan, and so she makes a big deal out of it. It's kind of got to be Lucas that wins.
Okay.
And it was headlined this time by Qualcomm as well. So it was the Qualcomm New York thing, which meant there was lots and lots of opportunity for the Qualcomm safety car drinking game. Which
how did that go for you, Alan?
It left me with a bit of a sore head on Sunday morning. Yeah.
Well, and congratulations to our friends at the show, Qualcomm, then.
Yes, definitely. We do really need to try and do something about. Well, I need to get my finger out and speak to Helm about a thing about induction charging because I think that would be interesting and nerdy and very motoring podcast.
I want to know more about that.
Yes. Because right at the minute we class it as black magic.
Yes, but I think it's the future.
Yes, so do I. So do I.
So that's motorsport.
That's motorsport. That's Motorsport Corner this week.
Yes. There's the next Formula E and the rally are in 2 weekends' time.
Yeah.
So we will be back with that. Right. This was an article I came across. I think I saw it posted on Twitter by @Autonomous Law. Who's actually, if you're interested in autonomous vehicles, He's actually an interesting chap to follow.
Mhm.
He comes from the more skeptical side of the discussion. He's not against it, but more skeptical about the claims that are being made and the way that it is perhaps being implemented and the rush and how corners are potentially going to be cut, which is, again, when we're talking safety, no one wants to hear corners being cut. So I'll have a link to his Twitter handle in the show notes. But I do recommend following because he is actually a lawyer. So, when he says stuff, it's been thought through. So there we go. But anyway,
he quite often ends up in discussions, the same discussions as Edney DeMeyer, Alex Roy, and stuff on these kind of when these claims of levels of autonomy are being made, and
that they've driven across X number of miles.
Mm-hmm. Anyway,
yes, but this is an article in the Guardian, and surprisingly, for this publication, the article is a thought piece and questioning whether driverless technology is going to make the difference and reach the targets that people are claiming it will, and are always used as the positives. And I just thought I'd include it because I think everyone should go read it.
Yeah, it's a really nice piece. It's not strongly one direction or the other. It's quite nicely argued through, and it's
well balanced. And like I said, we're not used to that from mainstream press. So for the novelty factor alone, go read it. But I think it makes interesting arguments that hopefully open the discussion a bit more and make people think about the way this is going and how we need to think so much further ahead with than what we are doing at the moment. We're all arguing over issues that are right now, as we see it, that won't be issues in as this technology progresses and stuff. So from that point of view, I think it's a very interesting article. So, there we go.
So something completely different from autonomous vehicles for a change, and instead of smart cars, it's talking about smart motorways. In this case, the M3, which anyone who's been near the M3 in the last 2 or 3 years will know has been a pretty darned dumb motorway. And what the Highways Agency are doing is they're trying an experiment to paint and make these safe kind of havens, refuge areas that there are off these smart motorways, because of course all the lanes, there's no hard shoulder. All the lanes there's no fixed hard shoulder. All the lanes can be used, but they can shut them off. That's it. That's what they're calling smart. Similarly, speed limits can be changed at a moment's notice. That also seems to be smart because it's a really good way of catching you speeding. But they're making these the refuge areas bright orange. Well, when I say making the refuge areas, they're trying one near Camberley and painting it bright orange to see if that's a success. I'm not quite sure how they'll gauge what a success is or not when it comes to that. Well,
one of the things that they were talking about was so that people only use it in an emergency. What have they been doing up to now?
Yeah, well, that's it.
Well,
exactly.
The problem with it is if you look at the picture in the motion research article, it's a lay-by. So everyone goes, that's a lay-by. I'll stop in that because it's a lay-by.
Specific.
But yes. You know what? Yeah, if only we had some sort of system where we had this, effectively another lane where people could, in an emergency, just stop the vehicle because emergencies happen at any moment and not usually next to lay-bys.
You mean like a dumb motorway that we've had for all those years where it's always worked?
That's it. Perfect. If only we had that sort of system already in place.
Do you know, don't even get me started on the M3, because not only has it been a major pain in the bottom for me for quite a long time on here. Do you know what they've gone and done now? They've gone and made the speed limit for most of that 55 miles an hour, which is a speed limit that is completely unrecognized anywhere in the highway code, anywhere like that. Vehicles with kind of sign and speed limit detection. They're not expecting that in the UK. That's not a UK speed limit, so they can't show it. It confuses the heck out of them. So if you think about, so this is, vehicles, many of them are cars we've had. They will use cameras built into the car, will recognize the signs, and it will keep that sign showing on the dashboard until it sees something which should replace that.
Yeah.
55 miles an hour is not a sign it's expected to see whenever it knows it's in the UK. So it can't pass it. It keeps always showing 50.
Why not 50?
No idea. No idea. I imagine actually it's because that's the closest to 90 kilometers an hour, which is what a truck, which is 56 miles an hour, which is what a truck speed limiter is set at. So basically, you're going at the fastest speed a truck can go.
Oh, goody.
Only they won't, because one will be going at 55, the other one will be going at 56 miles an hour, and then they will spend 4 miles overtaking each other. That's what happens on the A14. It's great. Love it. Fantastic. So good for traffic flow. Works a treat. Not.
Yeah, because then what happens is you get people can see 7 miles ahead, there's a lorry. I will move into the outside lane and block the outside lane. But,
lane discipline in this country is appalling. And then even people who don't want to do that think, if I don't move out now, there's never going to be any space, and I'm going to end up trapped behind that, having to make a dangerous maneuver. So,
I love this. We were worried that I was going to be the ranty one.
No. This was included, and I knew that I would get ranty at this because it really, really bugs me, because there's just so much stupidity around the one thing.
Well, yeah, it is. It is a daft. Smart motorways are daft on many levels. I like the idea that they have the potential to control the flow and slow people down or allow them to speed up again. That idea is clever and interesting. The execution is not always that way. And however, we only look at it and think, you've just done that so you can make money off us.
No, actually, I really like the smart sections of at the bottom end of the M1. I really like smart sections of the M42. I really like. It's just that for the M3, they seem to, and the smart sections of the M25, actually, I really like them. And they're a pleasure to, I'm going to say they're a pleasure. They're not really a pleasure, but they're not a problem to drive through. They're fine for driving through. These kind of things. All of those aspects that you just outlined. The M3 just seems to be this massive cluster of dumb. Specifically. Anyway, shall I stop ranting about the M3? And I'll let you talk about traffic chaos, which can't be any worse than it's been the last couple of weeks.
Well, let's not forget, everyone. School's closed this Friday. So we know what that means.
Means nothing
Armageddon.
to me. No, it means after that, all the motorways are going to be great because you're all going to be away places.
No, we're going to have chaos, doom.
If you want chaos and doom, last week I had to go to High Wycombe. On Sunday, I had to go to High Wycombe from Corby. Okay? Guess what the best route to get home to Corby? It's the A43. Do you know where the A43 goes past? Oh, yeah, it's this little racetrack just south of Northampton.
Well, why didn't you go when the race was on?
Because it's still shut. You're not allowed through traffic for the whole weekend. So you can try me with that. You're Carmageddon.
No, but apparently that's what we're already getting warm-ups to that. There's been I've seen a few mutterings. So it's to warn everybody, either take your kids out of school a day early.
Don't do that.
And risk the wrath of the government and your headmaster, who will say you're an evil person, or postpone your trip maybe 12 hours.
Yeah.
Give it to the next day, something like that. But, and the thing is, it's going to be so unexpected as well.
The thing is, I don't understand how it can be
bank holidays and school holidays. Traffic's never, a bit increased on those days.
Which doesn't explain why 2 weeks, oh God, only 2 weeks ago, when I was going to France, 2 and a bit weeks ago, when I was going to France, why I barely moved above 60 miles an hour from, about Huntingdon to, the Dartford crossing.
It's because the public schools are broken up.
Ah,
So they're all going off to our summer holes.
yes. Careful with that one. Yes.
Our chateaus.
Wonderful Gîte the Dordogne. No, it was funny. I wasn't expecting it because the tunnel was still cheap, so I hadn't been expecting the roads to be quite so busy. Anyway, we're a bit chaotic tonight. Should we move on to list of the week?
Yes, this I like this one that you found.
I thought this was a cracker. This one,
Gorgeous photography.
Yes. Well, it's from Evo.
Yes.
So I don't want to put down anyone else's photography, but Evo's photography and cinematography and stuff is really rather lovely.
Yes.
And it's the 10 best Jaguars of all time by Louis Frankel. Yeah. Go have a look.
We've driven one of those.
Have we?
Not the E-Type.
Oh, that's true. Yes. Well, there's E-Types in there. There are many. Some of them you'll have forgotten about. Some of you might never have known about. But yeah, great stuff. Everything from Project 7 right the way back to the C-Type. Go have a look, run through it. It's really lovely. And as you say, Andrew, the photography's the accompanying photography is fantastic. So,
yep, check out the show notes for that one.
Yes, definitely follow, go click, share, etc. So that's a really good one. Yeah.
Right now, this is the perhaps most surprising.
The most surprising of all, this one is absolute genius. Friend of the show, Ian Seabrook, has the other week he picked up. I've not really been doing that. We've not been doing the fleet updates because we've had lots to talk about. But he recently bought for £50. He bought a Proton, and it's just kind of gone a little bit viral, really. And I don't mean like in a nasty way. It's the Sun Daily in Malaysia picked up today that he'd done a review of this 1987 Proton Saga, and the headline
Aeroback.
Oh yes, the Aeroback. Supposedly that makes all the difference. But the headline in the Malaysian Sun Daily, which might load at some point tonight, was UK auto blogger finds 1987 Proton Saga very competent. Which is just genius, which I think is fantastic.
That is a wonderfully Ian Seabrooky review.
It goes on. I love it.
Totally understated, but sums it all up.
I love this. It's I must say though, this is a rather jolly car to drive. He wrote on his blog. It ambles along very merrily and does a good steer too. As he was saying, it must be a slow news day in Malaysia. But and then it goes through and points out that he also has a Perodua nipper. But yeah, by all means, go. Have a bit of a laugh at the article as well. But by all means, watch his videos on his Hubnut channel on YouTube. He's been driving lots and lots of stuff.
Yes, he has
recently, and
we do need to do an update on his fleet.
Well, hopefully, I'll be seeing one of the newer members of his fleet this weekend because it's the Festival of the Unexceptional at
yes. Well, he managed to get it in. He did.
Well, he's not got that. He's got the Bluebird in.
That's what I mean. That's what I was thinking. Sorry. Yeah.
He's got Nissan Bluebird in. So
he can't drive two cars at once, Andrew.
Yeah,
it would make it a bit tricky.
Would make it hard. So yeah, I was thinking about going along to that on Saturday morning. By the way, if you look it up,
your MX-5 in.
No,
harsh on the MX-5.
It's completely full. I'm just ignoring you. It's completely fully subscribed. There was a list of how many of each brand there is. It's on their Facebook page. We don't normally promote Facebook pages. I will share it to ours because you all like stuff on Facebook, don't you?
What is the book?
You do actually. It's a way of extracting money from people with Facebook pages,
Okay.
and advertising at the rest of us. It's great. So yeah,
Because we need to do an update on Petrol Blog's fleet as well. I need to have a little chat with
Jav.
incredibly long surname.
Yes. Okay.
To find out where everything's at, because he has been doing work on stuff.
Yes, he's been a busy bunny, which is why he's not been on Twitter.
Something was going through an MOT earlier today, but I don't know how it got on.
I don't know how it got on either. He was on a bus and everything, and then it all turned into a discussion of Suzuki's. It just went down. It just went downhill, from what little I saw, anyway. Anyhow, I think really we're at the warbling and waffling stage, and it's coming up to the hour. So I think that's probably quite a good point to put a line under this week's Motoring Podcast News Show.
Are there parish notes?
That was a reminder that there are parish notes, wasn't there? I can't think what the parish notes were. Oh yes, there's so the Goodwood inspired special edition is out right at the moment.
I nearly took Goodwood out of the title when I was editing it because of the tangents we went on.
There are many. I shall apologise on behalf of all four of us, but the number of rat holes that we found and went down was quite incredible. So it's
seriously, that is what we want. That's part of the reason we're doing the round tables.
Oh yeah,
because the designers round table was another one where we went off on tangents, which was just awesome to do. And hopefully, I mean, we'd love to hear back from anyone listening, what you guys think of it as well, because we've really enjoyed doing them. And the people who've been on tell us.
Made nice noises.
So we can only go on that they have enjoyed it. But we want to know what the listeners think. Do you enjoy the fact that we explore tangents? Not so much the tangents, but we explore these topics and we follow the conversations where they generally take us. So if you could please let us know on the social media channels that we will describe shortly and let you know. That would be awesome.
Yeah, that would be really good. So that's there. Next week, we're going to be a day late. Sorry, out of my control. I have to travel on Tuesday night next week, so we can't record. So we'll do it on Wednesday. So it'll be out on Thursday-ish. Was there anything else? Festival of the Unacceptable. Oh, the other thing is it's Redditch Cars and Coffee on Sunday morning as well at Great Escapes Cars in Redditch. So if you're in the area or you're not really in the area, I'd get along there if you want to see lots of interesting and eclectic vehicles there as well.
Are you managing to get there? Are you struggling?
We'll see how I feel at the end of the week. I might do both. I might only do one. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. But anyway, keep an eye on our Facebook and Instagram feeds because, of course, if I'm at those, I will be sharing media, being an influencer or some other rubbish. So
we need 30,000 somethings to be influencers.
Yeah. Give us a $5 or I'll go buy them. Oop.
No, let's not go down there. The internet the last 3 weeks, the internet has been very angry about influencers, so let's not bother.
I would like to make a point just to say totally organic, never paid for a thing. I wouldn't even know how to do it, to be honest. So, yes, rounding up, because this really is tangent-tastic tonight. You can tell I've not really spoken to many people today. Yeah, don't forget that between now and our One Day Late show next week, you can give us any feedback and share your thoughts with the show at Motoring Podcast on Twitter and Instagram, on Facebook, and on the contact page of motoringpodcast.com, the hub of all our activities. Don't forget about Patreon. You can get that straight from our front page. And any of the other ways of supporting us can be found at motoringpodcast.com/support. Don't forget, leave a rating and review on iTunes or however your podcast app lets you do such a thing. It really does matter. Andrew, best way to get in touch with you?
Sort of at the moment is Twitter. If you search for Crack Windscreen, I'm still away.
I was trying to clear the air with earlier on.
Yes, it hasn't. Yeah. Yes, go to Twitter and search for Crack Windscreen. I am occasionally dipping in at the moment to check on things and then going away again for my insanity.
And mine.
Yes, mainly Alan's, really. There's only so much moaning the poor chap can put up with. And Alan, if people want to send their sympathies to you, what's probably the best way to do that?
Twitter's the best, where I'm at AJP Bradley, Bradley. As I say, we'll be back next week. But until then, I've been Alan Bradley.
I've been Andrew Clews.
And safe motoring.